Hello, welcome, or welcome back, if you're new. Which, honestly, this wouldn't surprise me, because this seems like a video that is not at all related to what I normally do on this channel that people may find. So hi, my name is Lo, I do lifestyle, vlogging, whatever. This will be a little bit different, because today I'm talking about my experience with something that we don't normally do medical chats here, I promise. Today I'm going to be talking about how me, someone who is 25, and not very old, ended up with shingles. I am 25 years old, pretty young, and I just wanted to sit down and talk about this because when I posted on Instagram, a bunch of people asked about it, first off, and second of all, there is a lot of confusion around it. Even when I went to a doctor and got diagnosed with it, he was like, no, I don't think you have it, only old people get that. And I'm not old, but here I am. If you're a regular subscriber, you may have seen a few videos where I complained about having an allergic reaction or hives. Spoiler alert, that ended up being shingles. So to kind of give you a little bit of background if you don't know what shingles is, essentially it is a strain, I believe, of chicken pox. So if you've had chicken pox as a child, or I think if you've had the chicken pox vaccine as a child, you can get shingles. Essentially, once you have chicken pox, it lays dormant in your system and it can come forward sometimes if you have a weakening of the immune system. This is also why it's more common in older people because they have worse immune systems, but it can happen to young people sometimes. It doesn't need to be a big thing. Nothing dramatic happened for me. I'm thinking that mine might have been caused that I was stressed, so that lowered my immune system, because if you're watching this later, we're currently in the middle of a global pandemic when I'm filming this. I also had to go to a walk-in in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis, so that was really fun. But I'm thinking that's what mine was. But essentially, if your immune system weakens, it can come forward and it shows itself through your skin because it comes through your nerves, I think. I should leave some articles down below with more actual legitimate information on shingles. Essentially, it's like a gross looking skin infection. I'm gonna walk through kind of my timeline of it, but for me it started as burning underneath the skin and then itching and then hives and then blistering, and now we're here. So like I said, I noticed originally when it was pain under the skin. Now that I look back on it, I can totally realize that I was feeling this, but I didn't think of anything at the time. It was on my chest and I was feeling super, super itchy. So for probably 2 days, I was like, why is my left boob so itchy and nowhere else is on me? I was like, do I have a mosquito bite? Did I do anything? I didn't do anything different, so I was just confused, but I was feeling itchiness and tenderness all under the skin on the left side of my chest, and that was it. And I just assumed, because I'd started working out again for the first time forever that week, that it was muscle soreness and something to do with that, and I didn't really think about it. That was not a good call on my part. So I have photos of when I was starting to work out on April 28th, so it was probably around April 27th or April 26th that I first noticed this, and then April 28th is when I started to have actual itching. I can see in a photo on April 28th that I do have a spot on my back. So by April 28th, it was starting to show up as a actual rash. I thought it was hives. It looked exactly like hives. It was red and raised skin and a little bit bumpy and itchy. At this point, I'd only seen it on my chest, so I was like, I just am having an allergic reaction to something. I went out that night, I got Benadryl. I took 2 Benadryls before I went to bed and nothing happened. And at this point I posted on Instagram being like, what could this possibly be? And pretty much collectively everyone that I knew was like, oh, it's probably a stress rash because you've been stressed lately. And I was like, okay, it's just a stress rash, I'll be fine. And I just live my life. This is your warning. I will put some photos and videos up on the screen, so if you were someone that is super, super squeamish and doesn't like medical things, this is your warning. None of them are really bad, they're just gross. But I'm guessing if you're looking at this video, you probably are interested in shingles or have shingles or think you have shingles. That's why you're watching this. But on May 2nd, I posted this photo on Instagram, and this is what people started replying to when I was like, what is this? And my chest wasn't as bad as this, and then one day randomly I just looked in the mirror and I saw this underneath my armpit, and I was like, that doesn't seem good. And I just asked people what it was. I had 2 people, one of my really good friends, he was like, I think that looks like shingles. I could be wrong because young people don't get it, but the more I started looking into it, the more I was like, that kind of does look like shingles, but you know what, we'll wait. But at this point it was really, really itchy. It felt like like mosquito bites essentially, and it was still like raised and bumpy, and it just looked like hives though. I didn't have any blistering, I didn't have anything like that. It just looked like sad hives. On May 3rd, the next day, I woke up and it is gross now. Again, I'll put a photo up from May 3rd in the afternoon. This was at like 2:45. This is when I started to notice the very first bits of blistering underneath my armpit. My chest didn't blister till way later, but underneath my armpit, I think I like put my hand there and I felt it and I was like, that feels gross. And I literally got to the point where I couldn't even touch it because it just felt so gross to me. But this was on May 3rd, and this is when I was like, I think I need to go to a walk-in because this looks exactly like shingles. If it gets to a point where it's blistering, it's probably shingles. Hello, welcome to my bathroom. I'm pretty sure I have shingles. I'm going to a walk-in tomorrow to confirm it, but you see that lovely patch of blisters on my back there? Pretty sure that's shingles. I also got nervous because I was looking up like videos and stuff at this point, and most of the videos said if you didn't catch it within the first like 72 hours, medication wouldn't do anything for you. And I was like, well, good, I noticed this at the end of April and now we're like 4 days in. But May 3rd, this is where we were at. May 4th, I went to the walk-in clinic. Again, I was really nervous because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I was like, if I catch corona, well, my immune system is already down, giving me enough to get shingles, I'm gonna end it. But it was a super simple process. I'll insert a clip here. They gave me a mask. It was easy. The doctor came in like full get up, face shield, mask, everything. And this is what I mean when I say that like it's so strange for young people to get it, because my doctor was like, I don't think so. Obviously it was just a walk-in, so I didn't know them, but he was like, I don't think so. I showed him on my chest first. It was still just like hivey on my chest, and I was like, honestly, I think I have shingles. And he was like, oh, that's so weird, like when's your birthday? And I was like, 94. And he's like, oh, you're so young. And I was like, yeah, but and he looked under my armpit. He took a swab under my armpit, which I didn't even realize he was setting it in for testing because I didn't even think about it because he just diagnosed it and gave me medicine that day. But I did get a call from my like GP probably 2 or 3 days later confirming that it was shingles, and she was just calling to let me know that she did get the results back. Like I said, he took a swab, he looked at it, and then he asked me a bunch of questions to essentially determine whether it was shingles or not. Kind of the big signs of it were I had chickenpox as a kid, obviously. It was in like a belt formation, so if you look up shingles, people will tell you this. You can get it anywhere on the body, and some people have it in way worse places. Like, thank God it wasn't on my face, but for me it was in like a distinct belt where it started right about here, like right beside the middle of my body, spread over the top, down under my armpit, and then I did have it on my back as well in like a stripe across my body. So that is a big thing. You'll also only get shingles on one side of your body. I have no idea the science behind this or the reasoning behind this, but it is a thing. So as soon as he was like, is there blistering? Did you have chickenpox? Is it in a stripe? And is it only on one side of your body? That was shingles. Because it was in a stripe and it was only on my left side, I had absolutely nothing on my right side, and it was nowhere else in my body. He said it was on my back as well. I only got like 2 little spots on my back. Luckily, most of it was just under my armpit, but he was like, this is shingles, most likely. At that point, he asked how long I'd had it. I'd only really noticed like the blistering for a day. Like I said, I woke up on the 3rd and that is when I had it, and I went in on the 4th. And he's like, I'm gonna prescribe you the medication. It may work, it may not work, because you want to have it within 72 hours, but I'll give it to you. And I do really think it helped, because when I watched other people's videos, they were like, I had blistering for like 2 weeks and like crazy amounts of pain, and I was only like in pain, I would say, for like 3-ish days, but it honestly wasn't really that bad. But I'll talk about that more later. I went to the doctor on the 4th and he gave me medication. This killed me because it was $60 and there was no guarantee it would work. Now it was worth it, obviously, but this killed me at the time. I will put a photo up of it here and what it looked like. I might insert some random clips, but that is kind of what I did there. On my last day of the medication, it was 7 days, that's the name of it, but I just wanted to show you guys kind of like what it looks like and the size of it and stuff like that. So there was 3 of these, so you take 3 days for 7 days, and they are 500 milligram pills. They're not tiny, but they're not huge. They look like this. They said to take them within 3 days of noticing. I probably took it within like 3 to 4 days, but they say 72 hours works best, but I did notice a big difference. So that is my last one there. We're almost in the clear, hopefully. On the 4th, it was still blistering. This is what it looked like on the 4th. I might not know the specific dates because I did start taking clips on this camera because I knew like once I actually had shingles, like I want to do a video about it. So I think that's the last actual photo that I have of it. Pretty much that was like when I started taking it. I had 7 days of medication. I took three pills a day for 7 days. I actually forgot one of them, so I took it for like 8 days. I would say the first like 7 days, honestly, it was just annoying. It was inflamed, it was itchy, it was just like irritated, and it like was sore to the touch. It felt like a sunburn. That is the best way I can describe it, is it felt like a really bad sunburn to me. I was at my mom's and then I came home. I noticed when it came home at the end of those 7 days, it felt significantly worse to me. Obviously this is different for everyone, but it got to the point where I needed to have like pressure on it, which some people say it hurts. I don't know. I felt when I had an even pressure on it, it was way better, but sleeping was the worst. I was having to take like the medication they gave me and Advil and Tylenol and melatonin, and I was taking any sort of painkillers that I could because it was driving me insane. Some people, when I was watching videos on it, were saying they would go to a doctor and the doctor was prescribing them a painkiller as well, but I think because I was fine at the time, the doctor didn't. I also have a really high pain tolerance, and I know that piercings and tattoos and things like that don't bug me, so I think if I thought it hurt for 2 days, I can understand how people say it's like the worst pain of their life, especially if it's prolonged for like weeks. It was itchy, it was raw, it was red, it felt like, yeah, the worst sunburn. And the worst thing for me is if the skin like pulled or stretched certain ways on the area that was blistering, it was like a million tiny little needle pricks in that area, and I don't know how else to describe it. For me, it happened the most when I yawned. I'm gonna yawn now that I just said that. It definitely happened the most to me when I yawned, which is also why I found sleeping really uncomfortable with it, because every time that I was tired and I would yawn, it would pull the skin because my rib cage was expanding, and it would hurt like a bitch and it would wake me up again. So that was probably the worst part, and the itchiness drove me insane. I did try to buy some things to like counteract it, so I bought chamomile and like, I don't know the words that I'm trying to think of, like little cotton pads and medical tape, because at one point I was like, I need to have pressure on this to sleep and to like try to keep my skin from moving. So I was taping it over it in my sleep and then wiping it off in the morning. My chest got really itchy, so I was just like bathing my left boob in chamomile for a couple days. Was not very pleasant. I don't think chamomile made a huge difference. It was like an immediate relief, but then it didn't do anything after that. But for $2, maybe it's worth it. A lot of people were recommending capsicum cream, I believe, but I couldn't find it anywhere, and it was like $40 on Amazon, and I was like, that's not gonna be worth it for me. That's kind of my timeline. I probably noticed, I was at my mom's, what, a week ago? So May 15th-ish is when the blisters were starting to like, I don't want to say pop because that sounds gross, and it didn't feel like that, but they were starting to like crust over and like scab off. Sorry for the weird angle and like no makeup and everything, but I wanted to give you guys an update. I finished up my medication 2 days ago, something like that. I just wanted to show you guys how it's doing because it's not nearly as bad as it was. So I'm gonna go put on a sports bra and be back. So my chest probably actually looks worse now than it did before. Hopefully you can see where it's like drying out there. All those spots that are little dried spots were where I had like a little bit of blistering. I still have some down here, some up around here. It wrapped all the way around my boob. So again, some drying up and blistering here. This is where it's the itchiest. Honestly, I find myself scratching here, which probably isn't good, but whatever. And then y'all know that this was the worst part here, and it looks so much better. I don't remember if I took a clip before, but if not, I'll put a photo in. It was like, it essentially looked like this, but it was like gross and blistered and bright red all around it, and now it is only really red on the little areas it's at. You can see that it is totally dried up, so I can like touch it and stuff. It's not as gross. All those dark spots there are scabbing, and then the other spots around it are where it's already fallen off and healed. So sorry, I'm still so itchy. That's kind of where we are at now, but looks way better. It feels way better. I'm very happy with it. I know it can take like up to 3 weeks for this to go away, so I'm not really worried about how it looks or feels now, but it's not painful. It's just kind of itchy if anything. So that's my like mini update there. Are you scratching yourself on the camera? Oh yes, hello. Today when I'm filming this, it is May 26th and it's pretty much gone, I think. Any sort of scabbing that I had, I'll insert like clips of what it looks like now, but any sort of scabbing that I have is gone. It just looks ugly. My chest did blister a teeny tiny bit at the very end. It wasn't nearly as bad. Under my armpit was like literally those like bubbles where it looked like I had been burned. My chest never got to that point. Thank goodness, because I don't think I could handle that scarring. That would drive me insane. But I do still have like, it looks gross. Like it doesn't look cute. You wouldn't notice unless you were looking close at it, so I guess I can't complain. But I do have like markings on my chest and my side still. I just wanted to throw in one more like tiny clip before I wrap this up to give you like a final update, because everything's pretty much done now. Done, healed, I don't know what I'm saying. It is June 8th, so it's been over a month since I initially noticed, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys where I'm at. I don't even know if you can see it, but it's like just a little bit of discoloration. Pretty much the same thing back here. It's almost completely flat now, so it's not nearly as bad. There's a few little like dry bits, but that is it. Same with my back, but it is obviously in way better condition than it was before. So that's where we're at, like the second weekend of June when I started noticing this at the end of April. Let's cut back to past me, not present me. Bye. It's crazy to me that it's been like essentially a full month since I started to notice the symptoms of it, and it's still here. Some people say it takes 6 months, and some people say that they have like phantom pains in the area. Thank God I've had none of that pretty much since I like worked my way through the medication, and then probably like a week after that, everything relatively cleared up for me. I had no real pain after that. The itchiness was kind of the last of it. Like I said, it was only really painful for me for a couple days at night. That's kind of my whole story. I don't know what caused it. I don't know what brought it upon me besides my immune system said, sucks to be you. There's no reason, but if you are someone who is young and has symptoms, do not hesitate to go to the doctor, because like they told me, you want to be on that medication within 72 hours of you showing symptoms, and I do think it made a really big difference for me. I was uncomfortable enough that I went to a walk-in, which is something that I never do. I never go to the doctor ever, so it made me uncomfortable enough that I went to a walk-in in the middle of pandemic, so that should tell you how bad it was. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave them down below. I'm happy to try and help. But when I was looking for this, most of the videos were people who were maybe not old. Like I know for people over like 50 or 60, they recommend the vaccine. I wasn't finding like videos of people that were like 60, because like honestly a lot of people over 60 I don't think know how YouTube works. But I was finding a lot of videos of people that were like in their 40s and not a ton of people that were my age. So if you're a young person, it happens. I've literally been there. I'm the only person I know who's like under 30 that's got it. So this is just me saying that you're not alone, and this was my experience. If I get this later in my life again, I will probably pay the $200 to get the vaccine, because I would never want to go through this a third time. I know my grandpa, who's like the cheapest man in the entire world, got it once when he was like in his 60s or 70s, and he paid for the vaccine because he said it was like the worst thing, like wanted to rip his skin off, like worst pain in his entire life. And I am so grateful that I didn't feel that way, but I know for some people it is way worse, and I'm very grateful that for me it wasn't that bad. Honestly, inconvenient, yes. Very irritating, yes. Extremely painful, I've had worse. That is it for today. I hope this is helpful for someone, or it made you feel like you're not a crazy person if you're also in your 20s and somehow ended up with shingles. So if you like my personality, I guess, because the rest of my channel is not like this, feel free to subscribe. All my links to everything else are down below. I don't know when I'll be posting this, but I'll probably still be giving some sort of updates once everything actually clears up on my Instagram. But all my other socials are down below as well. And I'll see you guys in a couple of days. Bye!